Hey, everybody. Jacob here. How's everybody doing today? So, just a little catch up, maybe a follow up from the previous streaming. If anyone had watched, you will have known I covered a few topics, and one of them was the latest in COVID and kind of the dramas around that in New Zealand at the moment, and some personal um, updates on myself. So, I'm going to kind of roll back over those. Um, I still haven't received my background, but it's a little bit interesting. So who cares? That where is it? That way. That green bin there is filling up with bottles quite quick. So hi ho. So anyway, what has been happening, everybody? I have, my last stream, I told you about purchasing my own car, which I was very excited about, and I'd had it a few days. And unfortunately, on Saturday, I was driving it down the road on my way to the X's to pick up the kids, going around a roundabout. And as I put the accelerator coming out of the roundabout, the engine lost itself. It gutted itself. Like, we're talking, like, it really, really shat itself. I was going from a nice humming vehicle to literally the engine was rattling itself to shit. And I'm on a highway, so it's an 80 zone and nowhere to pull over. And so this thing went into limp mode. Probably, I don't know whether the computer put it into limp mode or that was just what was left of the engine. And so I limped it about 3Ks, about a K up to the next roundabout, left another 1.5 Ks up the road to the next roundabout and around the corner to a small street that I could actually pull over and check what the hell was going on with the car. So now that would be enough. It's pretty much enough to tear anyone's 90 to pieces. Luckily, I am in the situation where I'm able to handle that kind of stuff. I have many resources to be able to handle it, and the right mindset, which makes all the difference. But I'm a firm follower of the Stoic philosophies, Epictetus, Seneca, of course, the big one, Marcus Aurelius, along with a few others. And there's a couple of things that they say. Marcus Aurelius his meditations book is fantastic, and it's a real guide to how to live life and to manage things. And I brought all of those teachings to bear. So some of the things like this doesn't have to upset you. As the old saying goes, as everybody knows, life is 10% things happening to you and 90% how you deal with those things. And it's totally true. It's just obviously the challenge is training your mind to actually deal with things the right way, in a way that is constructive, in a way that is able to at least minimize the suffering or damage or whatever you might put yourself through. So that's kind of, those lessons really kicked in for me, and I'm very grateful. And that all that sort of mental work that I've been putting in, the books that I've been reading, particularly big shout out to Ryan Hamilton over in the States with his book, The Obstacle is the Way. I couldn't ask for a better, I think that book gonna by it's Ryan Hamilton. So The Obstacle's the Way by Ryan Hamilton. I fully recommend anybody read this book. And he's brought one out also, a book called The Boy Who Would Be King. Boy Who Would Be King, Boy Who Would Be Emperor. One of those. I think it was The Boy Who Would Be King. And it is about Marcus Aurelius and how he was chosen to be an emperor of Rome from an early age and was groomed. He didn't have any choice in the matter. So it is actually a book designed to be taught to children, how to teach Stoic philosophy to kids. And it's very simple, a very easy book to read and to pass on, and there's illustrations and things. But some of the things was like, you don't have to be upset by this. You don't have to turn this into something. Oh, there's a fly, really, right in front of the camera. Are you serious? Yep, carry on. They know, They know. You don't have to suffer. I think it was Epictetus who said, we suffer more in imagination than reality. And yeah, that is completely true. And we all do this to ourselves. We really do suffer prior to anything happening. We build things up in our heads that aren't real. You might have a meeting to go to, or you have a presentation to give, or you have an interview coming up, or you have to deal with a situation with someone such as maybe it's a bully, or you have to deal with an emotional issue regarding a partner or something. And we will suffer in our imagination much more prior to the event actually happening than perhaps the reality of the situation. And so when you remember these things, you really do like calm yourself down. You try to say, well, there's no point suffering any more than absolutely necessary here. So I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to make the situation worse. Like they say, a mountain out of a molehill. It may not be a mountain. And so yeah, I brought all of these kinds of learnings forward and took a deep breath and looked for the positives in the situation. Number one, as Marcus Aurelius says, it's not a bad thing that's happened to me. This is a good thing. I'm glad that this happened to me and not somebody else. I'm glad that it was me in the car alone, and let's say not one of my kids driving the car, because I've got two kids who have got learning licenses, and they could have been driving and thought they might have done something to damage the car and be really afraid of thinking that they damaged Dad's car. It could be someone. It could have been pissing with rain, storm weather. It could have been late at night out in the countryside. It could have been any number of things to make the situation worse. As that so happened, it was me. I have insurances. So the car was only a week old, meaning I'd only had it a week. So it still came under all sorts of, the car dealer's responsibility to fix. It happened on a Saturday, so traffic was low. There's so many things to take out of it. Obviously, it's a pain that the car broke down, but also another positive was that I hadn't yet handed back my old work vehicle. I'd had a feeling that I needed to hold on to it just a little bit longer just to be sure of something. And I didn't know what it was at the time. Of course, it turned out to be this. So philosophy, Stoicism, Stoic philosophy is not the typical, most people's understanding of the word Stoic means kind of taken to mean sort of emotionless, unfeeling, cold. That's not really the actual true nature. Stoic philosophy is the doer's philosophy. It is the most powerful. It's the oldest, and it really, really comes to the fore. So, The Obstacle's the Way by Ryan Hamilton. Brilliant book. I would strongly recommend anybody read it. I should probably go and grab it and come back and show it to you. Obviously, I wasn't really planning on talking about this, but I will show it to you on the next stream. So yeah, the car broke down. So now it's been towed to a yard. It's Monday now, and I'm going to chase up the agent, the car salesman today, and say, keep me informed about what's going on. If the car's if the repair, because what came on was the EPC light, which is the electronic control, sorry, electronic EPC power control unit, electronic power control unit, and it didn't seem like a very good thing happening. So, I'd lost a few cylinders, and the whole thing was out of balance, and and it didn't like going. Like, it really struggled. Maybe it even affected the transmission. Don't know. European cars. So anyway, I'll have to follow that up and just see. But again, why suffer more prior to anything actually happening? It could just be a simple fix. It could have just been a sensor went and completely shut off those valves. It could be anything simple. So before I jump to conclusions and stuff, you just take a deep breath and think, well, let's just see what happens, and I can deal with whatever happens. Worst case scenario is the car can't be fixed, or it's too expensive. They give me my money back, and I'm on the hunt for a new car again. All right. Or they could fix the car and I get it back and I'm happy. So, where are we up to? Apart from that, here comes the fly again. Yay, I can't kill it because I'm here. Where are we up to? Well, the kids are staying with me now. They're at school today. Great. We had Cyclone Dovi, D-O-V-I. I just want to check. Super. Where are we here? Cyclone. It caused some damage. It was all day yesterday, and she was pretty crazy weather. Dovi, D-O-V-I. Thousands are still without power for a second day. So Cyclone Dovi has 5,000 homes in Auckland and almost 10,000 homes in the Taranaki and Bay of Plenty without power on Monday morning. Thankfully, we did not lose power here, but a tree directly outside our house just shat itself, like blew over, split in half, bang, like a massive fire crack, a thunder crack going off. Yeah, so trees down everywhere. People, of course, when trees come down, they take power lines with them, and so people lost power. Winds up to 150 kilometers an hour in exposed places. So she was rough, very rough. And today, the sun is shining. There's no wind. It's a beautiful day, and that thankfully has blown away all that humidity that we had in the lead up to the storm. All that dry, that warm, humid air that had been dragged down from the tropics. Oh, it was horrible. Sunday morning, woke up 26 degrees Celsius at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it said on the app, the weather app, 26 feels like 29. And did it ever? It was horrible. It was so sticky and humid. It really was like the tropics. And I lived in Malaysia for 11 years. It felt just like that. I did not enjoy it. So, we've had a massive storm go through, and flooding, windstorm, the works. Cyclone Dovi, which came down past New Caledonia and Noumea. Same place. Noumea? Yeah, Noumea on New Caledonia, and then past Norfolk Island down to the Tasman Sea, which is normally cold and quite rough. And so any sort of weather storms like that, they tend to die out. But because we're in the summer and late summer, and the sea is very, very warm, unusually warm. I think we're in an El Nino or La Nina weather pattern. It just maintained its energy and slammed into the side of New Zealand and really walloped us. So today is cleanup day around the country. And all through that, we've had a massive protest in Wellington about the mandates for vaccines. And I say, go get them. The things have got crazy with not so much the mandate, because I think that's kind of a symptom of the whole approach. We're 95% double vaxxed in this country. There's really no need for a lot of the things that are going on anymore. I'm pretty confident that we could start. They're already talking about Um, uh, the government's already got plans to open up the borders and stuff, and they start from, I think, a week's time, where we start opening up to allow Kiwis in Australia to come back, as well as after that, 2 weeks after, I think we allow Kiwis from anywhere in the world to come back, but you still have to do the self-isolation for 10 days. So it's not like it's open for holidays or things like that. It's still a 10-day isolation at home or in some place where you're going to, which is really difficult. Now, the really difficult part here, the really horrible thing that's happening is the isolation requirements for close contacts. Because cases are going up, the close contacts isolation requirements are doing the most damage. Not people being sick, it's the close contacts that's causing the damage. It's the isolation requirements. And to give you an example, I'm going to share a page from our news. And you're going to see what I'm talking about here. I'm going to share this here. Crisis in Queenstown as staff isolation rules cause mass closures. Most Queenstown businesses are expected to close within a week as COVID isolation rules cause absolute carnage in the town. The town faced a crisis as workers were forced into isolation after a handful of people tested positive. The situation has left businesses crippled with not enough staff to operate. Most of our businesses will be closed by the end of the week if this carries on. If it wasn't such a tragedy, it would be a comedy. Since COVID-19 was identified in Queenstown last week, hospitality businesses have been declared locations of interest, with staff being classified as close contacts, meaning they have to isolate for 10 days. Now, this is the problem. You are forced to isolate for 10 days. Now, if someone, let's say you're a young person in hospitality and you probably don't live by yourself. I can't, thankfully there's no sound, but these automatic playing videos are the most annoying things ever. Basically, if you are identified as if there's a positive case, that person obviously goes into isolation at home, but then anyone around them who is considered a positive case must do 10 days, and then 10 days after the positive case has recovered. So that's 20 days, 3 weeks. Hospitality staff in tourism, in tourism industry, which has been decimated by our closed borders, are also probably being paid minimum wage or very low wages because they're hospo. And in New Zealand, hospo doesn't get, as with anywhere, it's a really, this stupid video. I don't want to look at his face. So the mayor of, back to that, the person, we have isolation rules where you have to go into isolation for 20 days. 10 days if you're a close contact, and if you happen to live with someone who is a positive case, you're staring down the barrel of 20 days isolation. And so what has happened in the hospitality-driven, tourist-driven centre of New Zealand, which is Queenstown, the lifeblood of that town, is pretty much every business has been affected. Here we go. Staff shortages in the hospital would likely spread to other organisations such as schools, essential services like supermarkets. Bolt, who's the Queenstown Lakes Mayor. The council had plans to focus on essential activities such as sewage and water. Republic Hospitality Group Chief Executive Blair MP said he was forced to close 9 of the group's 11 bars, eateries, and venues in Queenstown on the weekend. Visits by 2 customers made at least 16 staff close contacts. 1 staff member had since tested positive. There were not enough staff available to work and no one available to be hired as new crew. The situation was worse than any lockdown as the businesses still had costs to pay and no way of earning anything. If they were determined to shut us down to stamp COVID out, then they must balance that with the wage subsidy and the resurgence payment, which is what happened during our lockdowns. But no, there's nothing now because you're a close contact. This isn't a New Zealand-wide lockdown. This is you're a contact, you have to go and isolate. And absolute carnage, it's a mess. 6 members of the fire brigade lived at the station are self-isolating after 1 member was deemed a close contact. The members who lived in the residential block were a small but important part of the and they're all feeling well. These are fit, healthy men, probably women too. And they're having to isolate because what? They came in contact with somebody. In Wanaka, Kika restaurant closed on Monday, being notified it links to a COVID case. Links. Not actual cases. Mai Tai lounge owner Mel Chewy said she was considering closing permanently after her Queenstown restaurant was named as a close contact location. Self-isolation rules will ravage supply lines, work, and social life. An infected person visited the restaurant and wait staff now had to isolate until February the 15th or until 2 tests came back negative. Health authorities have been issuing inconsistent messages. Several businesses were told their staff were casual contacts, but were receiving alerts they were close contacts. We've got to a point where the isolation rules are just crazy. There's no rhyme or reason to them. The government should be focused on high-risk people rather than being preoccupied with case numbers. We are killing our businesses. Said the 10 and 14-day stand-down rule for community infections and their close contacts would ravage supply lines, work, and social life. The shutdown will devastate this business owner and change the lives of workers and their friends and families. And for what? The sniffles. This is an abomination. And I said on my last post, do you know what the people are going to do? They're going to stop testing and they're going to turn off the Bluetooth on their phones so they're not traceable, so that you might scan in, but you're not going to get notified that you're a close contact. You're not going to get notified that someone nearby you passed by and sneezed and suddenly you are now shut down for 10 days or possibly even 20. People are going to wise up and they're going to switch all of this stuff off. They'll still mask up. They'll still do the things. And consider 95% of New Zealanders double vaccinated with the boosters on the way and rolling through. And I'm about to go get mine soon. And we do all that. And now we're still being punished. Even worse than before. Even worse. This is nuts. And I guess this is where, like what I was saying before, the stoic, here goes the dog. Philosophy Stoicism and the Stoic philosophy come to the fore, because for these people, they're going to have to really be, they're going to have to take it on the chin. But, you know, people are so sick and tired of, we were told, get your boosters, get your vaccinations up, and we can open the country up. And everybody did that. 95% of 12-year-olds and older in this country are fully vaccinated. That means double vaxxed. And a sizable percentage, probably close to 45 to 50% of those people have had their 3rd shot, the booster. So the reward for going out and doing this should be that the self-isolation stops, that it's 3 to 5 days, maybe, and that the government only deals with the people who are really sick and puts them in hospital. Everyone else. So today, if I just go back to that, screen, if I go back there and we have a look at just how many people are, come on, for goodness sake, do something. 981 new cases, and come all the ads, 39 in hospital. All this massive panic, all this massive thing, isolation, and there's 39 people in hospital currently. And I bet you there's almost nobody, none of the cases are in intensive care. None. Out of 981 cases today, none are in intensive care. And there are 25 cases at the border. Ooh. Why are we putting people coming into New Zealand into MIQ for 14 days when there's no threat coming across the border? Clearly the threat is all the cases are in country. So why is MIQ still a thing? Why are we still isolating people? It should be, if you've got the sniffles, take a couple of days off as you would normally. Dose yourself out with vitamin C, take care of yourself, have someone check on you, and if it gets worse, then take advantage of the health system. It is not being overrun. What's being overrun is these poor people here having to stand out in the bloody heat with this garb on and test people, and I can tell you the testing numbers are gonna plummet. They are going to plummet because they are, it is out of control, the whole thing. This big protest going on is, I don't know how I feel about it. I think that it's a little bit misguided towards the anti-mandate and all of that, and there'll be a lot of anti-vaxxers in there and all of that kind of stuff. Don't really have much to do with them, and I'm not really sort of supporting that. I'm more about the self-isolation rules. You've asked everybody to do what they can. They've done that, and they're still being punished. Jacinda Ardern and Labour are going to lose the next election heavily if the opposition can actually get their messaging right and move the argument away from a health response per se, because we've done amazing in our health response. But now we need an economic response. Now we need to be pragmatic. We know what we're dealing with Omicron. We know what we're dealing with. So if the opposition can get their messaging nice and tight, they will absolutely walk away with the next election. The reason is because people are being sick and tired of being talked to like Jacinda Ardern is camp mother or head girl who knows better than everybody and being patronized. We're adults. We can make decisions for ourselves. If I get the sniffles, if I feel a bit fluey, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm going to stay home for a few days. I'm going to look after myself. And when I'm feeling better, I'm going to leave the house and go out and do what I need to do. No one will be the wiser. I might have had COVID. Who knows? If I get really sick, I will go to the doctor. I will tell them I'm having the symptoms and da-da-da-da, and then I'll follow the thing. Knowing, hey, at least, we pay a shit ton of tax. The hospital's there to be taken, to be used. But I'll take my chances, and I'm already fully vaccinated. I'm pretty healthy. Here I am having pulpy orange juice after being to the gym. I guarantee I'm not going to get very sick. I can guarantee you I won't get sick. So it's very, very frustrating. Really, really frustrating. this whole the stuff, it's the isolation rules which are just hurting people. And they need to knock it off. They need to wind it right back and say, hey, 5 days, just like a normal flu. Stay home until you feel better, and off you go. No one needs to do testing. Just if someone is really sick, they'll test them. If they need help, they'll test them and then they'll treat them as such. But so many people are vaccinated in this country that, as you saw, 981 cases, almost 1,000 cases, and 39 people are in hospital. No one's in ICU. So the vaccines have worked. You can, great, let it all go. So I don't want to harp on too much longer about that because, frankly, that's I want to scratch my ear. That's something that riles me up, and I'm only going to get riled up about it for so long. But I felt the need to really go online and put this on public record. That this is what's going on, and that people are fed up absolutely fed up to the gunnels. We need this country needs to get away from the namby-pamby, we know best Labour government at the moment to something more akin to personal responsibility, but we're as a more socialist country, which is fine by me in the sense that I pay my taxes, the roads are kept up to date, there's sewage in the water systems and all the infrastructure works, the police are not corrupted, the education system's great, the health system is able to cope with whatever's going on, and we help as many people as possible who fall through the cracks. What's wrong with that? It's when they start making decisions for adults, give us the information and allow us and suggest what we should do with that. Here are the experts who have analysed that information, and these are their recommendations. And as adults, we be allowed to make a call based on that. Right? So there shouldn't, like, the mandate, this is kind of where I overlap with the anti-mandate people, is like, yeah, at this point, with so many people vaccinated, we shouldn't be need to have any mandates. If someone, if someone doesn't want to be vaccinated, let's say a fireman doesn't want to be vaccinated, he doesn't respond to certain call outs, or he's relocated to a new role or something for a period of time until, and they did this, they said, once 90% of everybody has been vaccinated, everything will open up again. And now we're at 95% and nothing. They're screwing it down even tighter. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it? I don't think there's any grand conspiracy out there about running the country and taking over everything and ruining all the business. For what end? What would be the point of all of that? To get everybody reliant on the government's handouts? Well, we wouldn't do that. You can't force everyone to rely on the government's handouts. It's never worked anywhere. Free enterprise and allowing adults to do their thing comes to the fore. Look at it. People need reward for their efforts, right? And we also need to be treated as adults and not namby-pambied all the time, told how we should be thinking. I can make my own mind up. Thank you very much. Right. I think my next show, it's hardly a show. My next live stream is going to probably be a little bit on the Stoic philosophy, Stoicism, because I really enjoy that, and I think there's a great amount of value there for people. I think there's fantastic things to teach kids. I apply the learnings, and I try to teach my 4 kids these philosophies, because everybody needs the help, Everybody needs that kind of those tools in their tool belt, so to speak, to deal with the things that happen in life. And they're never taught anywhere. So, you know, I found them. I'm a reader, so I find these things. But I know a lot of people these days don't read a lot. But hey, there are a lot of resources out there, even on YouTube and et cetera, which can help. So, but yeah, I'm very keen to talk about that in my next live stream. So I think I'm going to leave it there. Anyone, thanks for watching. Feel free to say hi and leave a comment. Get in touch with me if there's something if you'd like to discuss things going on in your life, your feelings about some of these topics that I've covered, how you've dealt with challenges that you have faced recently, any advice you would like. I've been through quite a lot in my life. I've learned a lot. I have had several careers, and I think I've got a lot of valuable insight. And I've also been a teacher, so I have taught people before, and I really enjoy that. So by all means, leave a comment, and it would be very nice to interact with any viewers or subscribers. So I'm gonna put a little bit of outro music on right now, and then end the broadcast. So thanks for watching, anybody, and I will respond to any messages and comments that are sent through.